As summer rolls around in BC each year, people get excited. The sun returns, the days get longer, the beaches are welcoming. But for some, summer also brings anxiety. Will they have to flee from their home and community because of wildfires? We're seeing the devastation wildfires can cause firsthand in Australia right now. And while not quite to that extent, BC has had their own share of disastrous wildfire seasons. Back in 2017, 65,000 residents had to evacuate their homes, and more than 500 buildings were lost. In 2018, the numbers were smaller, but 6,000 people were still evacuated. And according to Alison Paul, Director of Protection and Psychology Support at the Canadian Red Cross, dealing with a disaster like a wildfire can have some serious impacts.
We can see increased rates of depression, generalized anxiety disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And so we're trying to focus on all types of responses and all segments of the population that would experience that emergency and tailor interventions appropriate to the needs that they display.
She says the first responders and humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross's number one priority is to ensure people have basic needs like shelter, food, and water, and that they're safe. The second step is to be there for them emotionally.
We know, too, that psychosocial recovery starts from the point of impact. And so making sure that we're providing supportive communication, psychosocial or emotional support in the early aftermath of an emergency is critical to successful long-term recovery.
For anyone who's been ripped from routine because of a natural disaster like a wildfire, one of the most important things they can do is get back to some sort of routine as quickly as possible.
Practical supports and actions that people can take would include getting back to a routine, undertaking enjoyable activities, accessing supportive people in your life to speak with, eating healthily, getting back to exercise. These are all practical things that we should be taking daily anyway, but certainly in the context of an emergency.
And the good news, according to Alison, is that most people that do suffer through a natural disaster are able to fully recover from the emotional distress with the right tools. She will be one of the key speakers at this year's Can IQ's Canadian Catastrophe Conference taking place in Toronto this February.